So similar to my Stargirl review, I just got done watching Titans Season 3, Episode 5. And you guys do not, you don't understand. I'm speechless. Like, you don't understand how much the Season 3, we need to talk about Titans Season 3. Here's my review. How's it going, my fellow Titans? Welcome to my Titans Season 3 No Spoilers review. Warner Brothers, I'm very grateful to them. They gave me the opportunity to see the first 5 episodes of Titans Season 3. You guys are going to see the first 3 on day 1, which I'm actually really happy about because that means we can talk about all what happens in those episodes. But seriously, guys, I'm kind of speechless. Like, genuinely, I have so much to say in this review. I have so much energy dripping off me. I can't wait for you guys to see this. It is so good. So we're going to cover everything today. Everything that I absolutely can to give you guys a fantastic impression going in. For better or for worse, you know, about Titans Season 3. I'm going to try and remain as objective as I can. Because you guys know I really like Titans. But trust me, this is what a no spoiler review is all about. I read all of your comments. I still see all the flaws. I really do. I've become more critical throughout my years on YouTube, and I'm glad to what kind of where I've got. So I don't not see the issues that people type with regards to episodes, the typical Titans failures of previous seasons that has kind of let the show down. But today, we're going to talk about if Season 3 is improved, what is it like, what is the Red Hood story like, what's Bruce Wayne like, what's Barbara Gordon like, what's Corey like, Starfire. We're getting into all of it. As I said, 5 episodes gives me a very good impression. That's a lot of time, a lot of minutes of Titans. So sit back, relax, grab a coffee. I probably shouldn't have one because I'm already caffeinated to high heaven right now. But also that is mainly due to the adrenaline of what I just saw from episode 5, Lazarus. But honestly, just all of it in general. Let's get into this. I've got some bullet points, but as I said yesterday, and as I kind of do in my spoiler-free reviews, I like to kind of navigate from my heart, because no spoilers-wise, it just gives you my best impression. Titans, I think it's fair to say, ever since Season 1, and in each season, has felt like a soft reboot each and every season. So, you know, Season 2 ditched that bit more of the kind of more gothic vibe Season 1 had, but it still obviously maintained a lot of aspects, of course, but there's still a distinct difference between that Season 1 kind of overly gothic vibe it had, especially with the introduction of Raven in that first season and the whole Trigon stuff and the powers. Season 2 of Deathstroke was a bit more of a, I don't want to say streamlined, but clearly there were differences, but it still wasn't perfect. So Season 3 does it again. It's another soft reboot. When I say that, soft reboot doesn't mean like it's retconning everything, it just means softly kind of taking a new, not a massively new approach to the show, but it clearly is distinctively different. But guys, they have frickin' found their cocktail mix by the 3rd season, let me tell you. So before we get into the juicy details, and this will probably be a bit of a longer video, so truly I do implore you to watch all of it, because I might not get to SCARECROW, Vincent Kartheiss' SCARECROW, till near the back of this review. Same with Barbara Gordon, and you can't miss out on what I think about them. So before we get into those juicy details regarding the first 5 episodes, the story is paced very well. The pacing is very good. And to be honest, it has to be, really. It really does have to be. And why is that, you may be wondering? Well, it's because given the story they have to adapt in the first several episodes, it's crucial that they nail it right. Like, they have to, especially considering, you know, the story being about Red Hood and a death in the family. And you can tell with the level of care you have to do when delivering that story to a screen, even if it's an adaptation of said story, you can tell they handled it with this extra level of focus and care because they knew what they were dealing with. So I do want to get that really out the way for you guys. The episodes that I've seen, all 5 of them, pace very well. They take it very seriously, and we'll get into a little bit of details as to how they're doing that, because there are certain things that they've done to make sure that things don't feel bloated, like with too many characters and stuff. We'll get to that when we get to that. But first of all, what's another thing I would want to know off the bat as a fan? Like, what would I want to know about the upcoming season of Titans? Well, the Titans are back. They are most definitely back, and they are freaking back just the way You've always wanted them in a Titans show. That's one of the comments I've seen recurring for years now. Like, when you have a Titans show, especially given the first 2 seasons of premise, and I'm not even critiquing it here, because I understand what they did, albeit not perfect, but like, they've taken quite a psychological approach of things throughout those 2 years. But, you know, from certain people's perspectives at face value, Titans, you know, when you go in, you expect, like, not necessarily a Young Justice show, but you can kind of see where they're coming from. You expect some kind of, like, organized superhero crime fighting action, which is what they left off with at the end of season 2. They literally left off inferring you this kind of low-key promise of, we're ending off with an answer to crime that Gar mentioned to everyone when they were eating at the table. They go down the alleyway, suited and booted, they deliver. Like, that is the Titans now. The Titans show is that. You're getting that. And what the heck do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is, you've seen glimpses of the Titans fighting crime together in the trailer, or the character spot promos, for example. The action that I've seen is probably the best action I have ever seen in the show in the 5 episodes that I've seen. Like, seriously, I can't possibly tell you enough that I've been hearing what you guys have been saying, like a large majority of the critical fans. And yet again, in this sector, with the Titans being suited and booted, working together, actually being a Titans team, they have most certainly addressed that here. Like, no issues or quarrels at all. But let's get on to Nightwing. So Nightwing is I want to say, like, when he's in Nightwing mode, from what you've seen, and this is what I mean, I'm only going to draw from things that I know fans would have seen out of official promo material when getting into details. So Nightwing can be a little bit of a cocky bastard, I would say, in terms of combat. And you've seen that kind of smile, maybe, in his character spot promo as he's throwing around his Eskrima sticks or something. I mean, it's very comic book accurate. There's no kind of brooding Dick Grayson, I would say, this year. It's very Nightwing. An example would be kind of like, think The Amazing Spider-Man. Was it the first one or second one? I think it might have been the first one. You know when Peter, and he had that thug with the knife, and he was just, like, playing with him, kind of, with, like, just shooting the webs out? It's kind of that vibes mid-combat sometimes. He is acrobatic, he is flippy, it is everything you would want from a Dick Grayson Nightwing. I know I'm not really addressing any flaws right now, but like I can't. Like, Nightwing is Nightwing. It is awesome, there are gizmos, there are gadgets, so to speak, just you wait. And the combat, I've already spoken about some of that, but like, it is something. It is something to behold. One thing that is just really cool to see more on that kind of growth mode is that it shows that he's a very capable leader, especially with what they're dealing with this season. So from his growth from season 1 to 3, it's just very apparent now. And I feel like a lot of the criticisms from fans here as well has been addressed and fixed, like this and many other things. Nightwing is exactly where he's supposed to be at his life right now, and brought to such fruition from what I think a lot of fans will be wanting to see from him this year. But let's address like a criticism that Titans has had for quite some time, and I really do want to iron the creases out of this one for sure. Like, I don't see how people can disagree with me when they've seen like the 5 episodes that I've seen, but you know, as for too many characters, with regards to season 3, I'm like, what do people mean, too many characters? So, to give you some insight there, when you watch those first 5 episodes of Season 3, certain characters aren't even in it. So, if you're thinking, oh, Tim Drake's been added, on top of Wonder Girl, Raven, Gar, Beast Boy, Hank, Dawn, Corey, Dick, so many, like, they're not all going to be in one scene. So I know people aren't that naive to think that anyway, but like, I guess some people are because they're saying, oh my god, so many characters. But like, trust me, certain characters aren't even in the first 5 episodes, really, kind of. But what is so important about that, with what I'm saying about how it's so important to adapt the Red Hood storyline and what they have to deal with in those first 5 episodes, it allows the Titans show in of itself to kind of put this spotlight on a full Titans character exploration, to be kind of curatively dosed into a few at a time, if that makes sense. I know that was kind of like a ramble of language, but bottom line, I'm not thinking like, oh man, like there's too many characters, there's too little time with this or that. What I will say, to completely contrast that, is that there's just the right amount of sprinkle there, and the characters like Donna and Raven will kind of come into it much later, allowing the kind of roster you have right now, and each character, the butter isn't spread too thin on the toast, so to speak, like that kind of saying. It's just the right amount. And the characters who are in those first several episodes are very relevant to what is going on. Everyone has a purpose, everyone fits in beautifully. It is just Mwah. Having said what I just said, Donna and Raven fans, do not worry. Do not worry. This is a good thing. It really is, because it allows the show to really kind of tee up their golf ball very, very well with the story that is very important to get right, with the death in the family. And when those characters do come, it's going to feel right at the right time in the season. So I'm just going to come out and say it now. We're this far in the review, and I haven't even spoken about one of the most anticipated things. Because I bet you're all dying to know. What is Red Hood like? What is the first live-action Red Hood like? My bullet point here is just like, F me, it's just amazing. And that's all I've got there, really. But seriously, Red Hood! It is so good, guys. It is very good. And not only that, I do want to just put this out of my mouth straight away. The costume, people saying the helmet looks too big in some scenes, which, or like promo images that we've seen, I agreed. But remember when the trailer came out and you got that wide shot and everything like proportionate? I'm serious in saying this. In all the angles you get during fight scenes, or Red Hood just doing this, that, or the other, I think the costume looks great in motion. Like, I think you guys will feel the same. The Red Hood suit, the mask, it really does look good. But one of the things I need to applaud, and honestly, at this point, screw the people who have any hate towards Curran Waters. Some of it is so unfounded, I don't understand it. Jason, beforehand, is meant to be annoying, so I feel like if people have been annoyed by Curran Waters' Jason Todd in the seasons of past time, then he's doing the right job. But this season, his performance is immaculate. And, you know, you'll see a lot of Red Hood, him under the mask, so you won't be like, okay, so the performance is cool, but we can't really see him. But there are scenes that give context, and we're about to get into context that matters, and it's a seriously important message as well that I really want to get across to fans. But when you get the scenes of Curran Waters shining some more light on certain situations, shall I say, I literally just got chills. That's all I can tell you. So one of the most important things I kind of wanted to get across in this video with regards to Red Hood, without any spoilers, is kind of what I've written down here, is that before jumping the gun with this adaptation, because there's been so much discourse about the Red Hood adaptation. Is it too soon? Is it too this? Is it too that? There's not enough justification. Is Jason really going to just be whiny at the Titans? Wait for the context. Trust me on that one. And what I mean by that is to specifically address what people have been speculating about with what I just said, his motivations, and some people thinking the lack thereof, to make such a leap. And I understand those perspectives, because it does come across, and I do get it, that some fans felt it would be too whiny, even after the events of what Jason Todd suffered last season with with what he endured through Deathstroke. Like, that's going to do a number on anyone. He got beat, he got thrown out a freaking window. That would be traumatic, but even then, that doesn't come across right as traumatic enough to do what he does as Red Hood, my god. But back to my main point, trust me, there is context, and I mean wait for that context. Episode 5, Lazarus, and I know now why they wanted us to see Episode 5 before doing the non-spoiler reviews, and why they granted us that much, is a huge episode for that, as in context. So what I'm trying to say here is that, yes, you will find Red Hood very cool initially and going throughout it, like really cool in the first 4 episodes. But maybe like me initially, you'll be thinking, oh man, like, there's this, as much as I'm finding this cool, that there's still some kind of context missing here, and I need something to make me feel like Jason is justified in what he's doing, because as much as this is cool, it's like what everyone has been saying. Like, I just don't see how this is going to be justifiable enough. It's just too much of a leap almost. But wow, you get a heavy dose of that in episode 5, and everything just falls into place. All the pennies drop, and it's like, no way. This is what an adaptation is. Guys, I always say this. Remember what adaptations are of books, graphic novels, or whatever. Please remember that an adaptation is not copy and paste. So what I can tell you is, and this kind of sounds like a bit of a contradiction at the same time, but I'll go ahead and say it, that the Red Hood storyline is absolutely freaking accurate to a point of where I didn't even think they would go to some levels of accuracy. Like, I'm shitting you not. with regards to his origin. Like, you guys already know from the trailer that they're going accurate already, obviously. Like, he dies by the Joker's hands. You see that in the trailer, like, Batman's Robin has died at the hands of Joker tonight. But again, the justifications, right? It's like, have they been enough in Titans? It's like, fair enough, they did his death correctly in Season 3, by the looks of it and what you guys have seen in the trailer. But is there enough going forward? Again, wait for it. Episode 5. This is going to be a bit of fanboy kind of rambling here because I really do need to just spew this out. But like, I actually can't believe how accurate they were to the source material. While also, with adaptations, the goal is kind of to tread new, innovative ground on that super traditionalist canon. Basically meaning like to be true to that source material, but also introduce some new material to make it fresh for the very familiar comic book fans like us who kind of already know how it goes. And as I always say, I'm sure there are some people who would like a comic book frame panel from start to end with no gaps, no innovation. But then you would, as cool as that would be, but it's like there'd be no kind of cool twisty stuff whilst ringing true. But this is what that does. It is true as it can get whilst being innovative. So without me rambling for too much more about that, I can tell you with 100% wholehearted sincerity here that I really like what they've done. I really like what they've done. As I've already mentioned, I was starting to get a seed of doubt in me for like as much as I was enjoying this. If this is like all the justification there is, I was like, I'm gonna have to like give it a thumbs down in terms of like the leap that a lot of people were making, but they are accurate. I just wish I could get into details to show you what I mean. But they give Jason's new turned over leaf into Red Hood a justification that I just didn't think they were gonna do. But when they do, you won't feel like this is rushed at all, like the speculation of fans have been getting at. And to be honest, you really do get to understand how Jason got to the point he did. I would even go as far to say that the Titans, with the death of the family / under the Red Hood storyline here, personifies what an adaptation of something is when creating a show, you know, to draw it from with the comics. And also when adapting something like Under the Red Hood or Death in the Family, like the overall Red Hood storyline, the parallels to the graphic novel or just the stuff you will recognize is insane. It is a treat for those who are, you know, extra knowledgeable in it. So without giving spoilers, just to give you some context here to see what I mean in regards to clues. So for example, in the trailer, you know, we basically already sussed out, oh my god, that's straight out of Under the Red Hood. You got the criminal underworld bosses there, Red Hood approaches them, the duffel bags on the table. You see how that is a straight rip from the comics in terms of accuracy. Yeah, there is, imagine that accuracy, comic book panel, parallel-wise, in many more scenes. Red Hood is just great. The voice, his action, he just does not F around at all. Shit gets real as well, as in very real, to the point of how you don't see how a person could come back from the actions they are doing kind of thing. And the thing is, guys, what I really like with what they've done here, as much as people love Red Hood, you will kind of learn to love to hate Jason this season, and that's a good thing because they're doing their job right there. But just as much as you will feel those emotions, you will, as the episodes unfold, especially getting to episode 5, you will, that learn to love to hate will turn to learn to love to hate to learn to love to empathize for where Jason is standing. Talking about the stakes, guys, you know, when they have teased that the stakes are high this season with the storyline they're adapting and just being in Gotham, they are, like, Jesus, they are high, very high. So just to give you a tease there, you may have already heard from, like, TV Line talk about episode 3. Episode 3 is actually an amazing, one of, if not my favorite episode of, I don't know, like, it is amazing, it is heart-wrenching. There are jaw-dropping stakes, but, like, even the small moments of the moments I'm talking about are dramatic as hell. A way to put it is that you're probably going to kind of feel very attached to even a lot of the running minutes of every episode of these first 5. That's for sure. You're going to feel like engrossed with how everything is unfolding. Hawk and Dove this season, from what I've seen so far, I'm so happy to say, because you've probably heard me say this before, they're my favorite characters, but in season 2, even though I love Minka Kelly and Alan Richardson, and I still love their vigilante vibe, I feel like the story dropped for them in season 2, but it is exactly, in this season, season 3, what we were missing from season 2. They just capitalized on what fans loved best, and it's very interesting where things go. But I need to talk about my other favorite thing of this season, or person, Savannah Welsh. this is definitive casting. I know we haven't seen Barbara Gordon a lot, but Savannah Welsh is incredible. Absolutely. She is definitive. Like, any future Barbara Gordon, I mean, I guess we got a Batgirl thing, but she needs to be played by her. It needs to be done. Like, she is incredible. So, fanboying aside, seriously, she is fierce, she is tenacious, but just as tenacious as she is, there's cracks in her that you see that open up this more vulnerable side. And there's such a spectrum of her as a character, that a way to get into it for me to articulate this to you is that you see obviously how this character has a rich past, because obviously this is a Barbara Gordon post-killing joke, but obviously with a character having such a rich past and we're only just being introduced to her as Commissioner Gordon, it's like you don't see it obviously, but you just know when you have the weight of a character's history, and Batgirl and post-killing joke just has a lot of history. The fact that we don't see that and Savannah Welsh just embodies that still, that is raw talent. Seriously, I wish we could just watch together right now. You need to see the scenes that she is in. There's a particular scene as well, because episode 1 is titled Barbara Gordon. She is a badass, she is frank, she doesn't give a shit, but she is kind. Like, she is everything a Barbara Gordon is, especially at this stage in her life. And I can't wait to see even more from her this season. She is just, I love it. I love it. She is perfection. Oh, but I do want to say, no Batgirl from what I've seen. I didn't expect that anyway. It just doesn't really make sense. Doesn't mean you don't get some discussion and insight into those days with Batman, Robin, old times. And when those conversations are had, guys, you're going to be so giddy with excitement at just the pure eye candy of sentences that your ear candy is hearing. Just you wait. Just you wait. There's a particular scene in episode 1 when they're in Wayne Manor. But guys, this is something I am gonna die on a hill for, this upcoming thing. Bruce Wayne. Ian Glenn's Bruce Wayne. Seriously, if I hear one person who makes it to the end of episode 5, and I mean that, remember this, makes it to the end of episode 5 saying that Ian Glenn isn't a good Bruce and Batman, then Jesus, I mean... Now, don't get carried away. When I say Batman, I mean it in the sense that Ian Glenn, without wearing his suit, also drips off Batman vibes. You see him in the Batcave, so for all intents and purposes, you do see the duality of Bruce Wayne. Like, so let me put it that way. The duality of Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne and Batman. You see the duality in front of you a lot of times in many scenes this season with Ian Glenn's Bruce Wayne. Now, I will say that this is the best. So whatever you feel about Ian Glenn, hopefully that's good news to whether you love him or whether you think he's down here and you don't think it made sense to cast him. Trust me, this is the best of Ian Glenn's Bruce Wayne in this iteration that we've had so far. His performance is the best and the most we've got of Bruce so far. Beforehand, we haven't got too vulnerable with him, but this season, they go ham. They take a deep dive. I want to borderline call it, you know how Joker was like a character study of a whole movie about Arthur Fleck, aka the Joker? This takes psychological character study vibes of Bruce Wayne. So we dive deep into the psychology of Bruce, way more than I ever thought we would. And that's saying something, because obviously I knew that was going to happen anyway with the death in the family story. But trust me, they layer it and layer it and layer it. The way Ian Glenn portrays Bruce and how nothing kind of dents him, but yet again, how he kind of deals with it and kind of balancing that vulnerability. I can't believe how good it was. I can't give too much away there, but you see, it's so hard for me to explain, because it's hard for me to do this when I know so many people don't like Ian Glenn's Bruce Wayne, but it baffles me because as a really big, I consider myself quite a purist of Batman, but in the best kind of way. The fact that I see this in him, I wish, and I hope that people see that he is Batman, he is Bruce in this iteration. He's not Alfred. He's not. He is Bruce motherfucking Wayne. And also, just to paint the psychology of Bruce, and when I talk about that, some things also may be kind of shocking at first. Like kind of how I said with Jason, with him, you're gonna kind of almost be annoyed by his actions and love to hate him. But then kind of as things unfold, as I mentioned earlier, you get kind of more empathetic and think, oh well, kind of, shit, That is interesting. Well, with Bruce, you might also think, like, shit, like, are they kind of painting Batman out in a light of kind of being a bit of a dick and stuff? Kind of like what they've done with Dick Grayson in Season 1. This was like a bit of a darker psychological take, but really it's just seen in a different light. Well, trust me, this is peak Bruce. And not is all how it seems at first. So wait, as I kind of said before, for more pennies to drop before judging wholly on the light that they paint Batman in, or Bruce in, so to speak. Because you'll realize that the story they tell with this Bruce Wayne and Batman couldn't actually be more accurate to the character. Now, a few things, and a particular thing may happen that might kind of slight you as a Batman fan, and it almost feels like an acquired taste because of some of the things that are shown, and the light that they are kind of painted in is what I've aforementioned, or initially painted in this light that is, could be controversial to some Batman purists, but once again, trust me, wait for the full picture, and you may come out like me, thinking that this psychological, almost character study of Bruce Wayne and Batman that they do via Ian Glenn in this season could be one of your favorites of all time, and I mean that. I know it may not be what you thought with casting in the first place, me too, to be honest, but after seeing these 5 episodes, Ian Glenn brings a thing to the role that has put him in my top, I don't know, but when they showcase a Bruce Wayne on screen in live action like this, and we haven't had it kind of gone into like this before, you can't argue with what is on screen. That is Batman. That is Bruce Wayne. And to hell with what anyone says, because that will never convince me. And that's not me being closed-minded. That's just me seeing Batman and Bruce when I goddamn see it. But the excitement isn't over, guys, because my god, the Batcave, you have no idea. Easter eggs, Easter eggs, and Easter eggs. If you're a Batman fan, they pimped out the Batcave with comic book Batcave Batman level stuff that I just can't even. I did not expect some of these things. And I just thought I had seen all of the Easter eggs when you see the Batcave, obviously, in the first couple of episodes, because, you know, you've seen it in the trailers. They're going to be there in the first episode or second episode or whatever, but there are more surprises to come. Once again, especially in episode 5, Lazarus, the Batcave is great. Oh my god, I can't wait for people to see this, and I can't wait to do my breakdowns of the episodes. Also, just another kind of throwaway thing that should get people excited, that, you know, there are references to other characters in Gotham, and the way they are planted and used are just mwah. And just speaking to the larger Bat stuff, obviously this is called Titans, but we are... Obviously, the leader of the Titans, Dick Grayson, it pertains a lot to Bruce, Batman. Now we're in Gotham this season, so yes, there really is well and truly Bat family eye candy. And I know some people make a joke about this show being a Bat family show, but ironically, despite how much fanboying I'm doing over the Bat content you guys will love this season, in the first 5 episodes, even while delivering you all of this Bat eye candy that I'm telling you about and all of this stuff I'm pumping up for you, it also delivers on what I've kind of briefly mentioned to you before, and how, trust me, it's a Titans show. It's still very much, and well, it is now more than ever, a Titans family show. You get that, and cause we're in Gotham, all while delivering on both sides of Titans family and a lot of cool Gotham lore and extra characters that you can only imagine that you're gonna see. Now guys, Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. You have no idea what is coming. He is a crafty motherfucker. Vincent Kartheiser just plays him so well that I understand why Greg Walker was hyping up Scarecrow this season. I need to be so careful about details here, but seriously, Jonathan Crane, I'm almost speechless. Like, what the public information right out there now is that he's been helping the GCPD on cases as kind of a profiler. Very Hannibal Lecter vibes is what Greg Walker has said. But guys, as I said about context, wait for things. I can't say things, but just you wait. Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow, he is fantastic. You know what I said about definitive casting with regards to Savannah Welsh's Barbara Gordon? Same with Scarecrow. I think this could be the best Scarecrow we've had. The way he's integrated and weaved throughout the story is perfect. It makes sense, especially at the beginning. But Scarecrow. Obviously, he's at Arkham. There's ties to what Dick is trying to find out with Red Hood. There's he's kind of got like little tethers to everything with what's going on at the minute. But like, oh boy, is it so much grander than what the way it's introduced. I can't say anymore. You guys, Scarecrow's coming. Now, Corey this season, I know there's a lot of pumped people for Starfire this season. Mama Bear of the Titans. Well, she has, you know, as you can probably gather from the character promo spots and the trailers and stuff, a bit of a mystery this season in terms of with what's going on and with her. I can't really get too into specifics there, but it gets more clarity as you get through it more and more, which, you know, kind of eventually leads up to Blackfire. But to be honest, after 5 episodes, I think a lot of impressions going into this season with, you know, it being wholly Corey's season, or Blackfire being this big antagonist. I don't think that's the case, but don't be disappointed, because there's a lot of branches going on this season. But let me kind of reel it in a bit. I haven't seen too much of Blackfire. The story has definitely been set up, though, and from what I've seen of Blackfire, oh man, there is a lot of story there that I can't wait to get into even further. Like Corey, and in a similar way to what I said in my Stargirl review there, certain character storylines, especially Corey's, do diverge into their own kind of little path, because that's very much so. So don't think they're not delivering on the promise of Corey getting a story, backstory, links to her sister, kind of figuring out a path with her and whatever's going on with that. It's just, I can't remember how those rumors started, but I think people from the end of season 2 thought Blackfire would be this overarching kind of antagonist. But let me put it this way, it's the only way I can put it. Blackfire just definitely isn't the antagonist from what I've seen. Her role seems to be exclusive to the Tamaranian kind of family drama that she would navigate with her sister. Now, as for who the real antagonist is, well, that may seem obvious to some, but not as all as it appears. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, seriously, you may think you know what I'm saying right now, but check again, and then check again. Titan Season 3 does have some surprises, and, well, you best get ready. Now, Beast Boy and Superboy. What a pair this season. They do seem to be quite, like, written in mind to be together, so to speak. Superboy is really cool. He seems to have matured a bit more from his mental age of a toddler that was established last season. But it's totally believable, though. I'm guessing it's kind of like he learns really fast, and don't forget, he's half Lex Luthor, too. He can read through pages like the Flash, so he is definitely still got this newbie naivety about him, but he's coming to ropes with the world more, and it definitely shows, and it's really cool. I feel like they've only capitalized even more on Superboy, and he's just where I want him to be. Now, as for Gar, the first 5 episodes, they set seeds up for what fans want, but as far as what I've seen, you don't get it so far. That may be really annoying for some people, but this is hard. Gar is really useful in the first several episodes. He's still got a similar role to previous seasons, like he's assisting and helping along with Superboy, but don't expect like massive Gar leaps, at least in the first 5 episodes, but he definitely is in a lot of scenes. He has some really good scenes as well, but don't expect him to turn into a bat, a snake, an elephant, a freaking hippo, all in one scene. Like, that, if you were expecting, oh, Titans is finally giving us this, well, it hasn't happened yet, at least from what I can tell. But that doesn't mean that Beast Boy doesn't get a lot of cool content. It's just, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the fans take this one. I personally really enjoyed Ryan Potter's Beast Boy in the first 5 episodes. But yeah, from what a lot of fans are wanting in terms of like changing every 5 seconds or something, that hasn't happened quite yet. Crypto is as adorable as ever, right at the side of Superboy. And as you can imagine, Gar and Connor being in Wayne Manor and the Batcave leads to a lot of fun. Tim Drake, so in the first 5 episodes, he's in it very, very little, but they definitely do set up his story. But then it's kind of put on the back burner, so to speak. But when you see the episodes, you will understand what they're going for. His relevancy in the season makes sense to be more in the middle to back part for sure, especially with, as you're seeing the episodes unfold, it's like the same thing with Donna and Raven. They're put on the back burner because, as I said, they wanted to condense it to make sure that the first part is really narratively paced well and whatnot. The concerns for too many characters is out the window. So Tim Drake is in it, but like not as in it as maybe what you would expect in the first 5 episodes. But from what I did see of Tim Drake, they already plant very, very subtle clues to his intuition. I wouldn't call it like genius level intellect with what they did tease, but it's definitely teasing towards that direction and his kind of Batman fanboy mode. It is definitely, at least in my perspective, even though some people will say casting aside or whatever, very, very accurate. There are also, and this is something that was very, very pleasantly surprising to me, a couple of surprise characters as well, which I didn't think they would do. But their role, or one in particular, this one character, fits in very well with the Red Hood arc. And I can't give anything away, but it relates perhaps to somebody Bruce would know. And that's all I can tell you. But yeah, like, this is what I mean. Being in Gotham this season, you can only imagine what kind of stuff they're going to throw at you. This is what I meant by the eye candy and awesomeness that they can bring in. But as for Rose and Jericho, though, it's as I said, it was very obvious they weren't in this season. Is it addressed? Kind of. And I don't know if it's going to get addressed even more, but what they did do, it wasn't really properly answered, but they're not here. It's as I assumed in my headcanon at the end of season 2. They went, like, obviously with Jericho going into his sister's body, I would kind of want to go off traveling or something, trying to kind of learn to come, not that they've said they're traveling, by the way, I'm just saying in my headcanon they've gone off to kind of come to terms with what they're dealing with right now. But yeah, no Rose or Jericho, at least as far as I've seen. All in all, Titans Season 3, the first 5 episodes are super freaking strong. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Seriously, they really are. Delivering not only an amazing, amazing adaptation of Red Hood, which rings true to the source material way more than anyone is expecting. Just you wait, seriously. And far more accurate beyond just the Joker crowbarring him, yet also, as I said, delivering innovation, which is so refreshing. And I love how they actually managed to deliver on accuracy, but yet new material at the same time. It's like they're handshaking. It's like, hey, new material and source material accuracy. I love what you're doing there. But it also delivers on some of the best takes of Gotham, Bruce Wayne, and Batman as a character than I've ever seen before in any property, and I sincerely mean that. Like, not on every angle. Obviously, I'm not speaking on every angle there, but some of the best aspects of a character that you can deliver in Gotham, but also Batman, England's Bruce Wayne, than I've ever seen, which is just seriously something special, especially if you know how much of a big Batman fan I am. But also, this show is called Titans, so it also brings about the Titans bond and family better than any season before it has. And this year, there are struggles still, but it's not so much about tearing them apart, because that's, you know, what a lot of people said, you know, tearing them apart, we're trying to figure out how to get back together. Okay, the end of season 2, the Titans are back together now, but it's kind of what Greg Walker said. It's the struggle to stay together this season in the midst of this shit that they're dealing with in Gotham this year. And when I say struggle to stay together, that doesn't mean people are toing and throwing about whether to leave the Titans again and stuff like that. It's that it's actually brilliant, seriously, because they're always together being Titans this season, but it's about enduring that journey. And in times like that, that is what brings a family closer together. So in turn, as you can imagine, they are more Titans collectively as a group more than ever this season. So my fellow Titans, with everything said and done now, I hope that gives you a good impression of season 3. I don't want to ramble anymore, so honestly, like this video. If you did enjoy it, let me know what you're most excited for with Titans as well. I'm dying to know. Like, I know you haven't seen it yet, but like, I really want to know your thoughts on this review, what you're feeling about it now that you've heard everything from me. But also, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, especially if you're not subscribed, so you don't miss out on my episode breakdown videos, because don't worry, I will be doing individual episode breakdowns. 3 episodes drop on the first day for you guys, so I'm so glad that you get to see that, because episode 3, it's like, it's truly an arc, especially with the way episode 3 ends. So I'm going to be uploading 2 reviews on the 12th when it releases, and the 3rd episode review on the day after that. Check out my Stargirl Season 2 review as well. I've seen 6 episodes of that. I uploaded it yesterday. And of course, if you got this far in the video, prove it by putting along with whatever comments you put in, or are going to put in this video, hashtag the Red Hood is coming. But guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. So, I can't wait for you guys to see Titans. You guys are in for a treat. This season personifies what a Titans show should be, and also just does more and more on top of that with extra perks, like the accuracy to Bruce Wayne and everything else I raved about. So guys, love you all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Titans in the next video. Goodbye.